Welcome to another episode of Eberhart Outdoors. It's the day after Michigan won a national title, and I guess 3 times was a charm because they got smothered by Georgia 3 years ago and barely lost to TCU, but they definitely proved their grit this year, so that was kind of fun if you're a Michigan guy. Couple of things. I would like it in the reply section if you guys watch this video. Reply if you have any topics that you'd like me to touch on as far as doing a video on. I think I've got 120 videos. I've covered a lot of different topics in pretty good detail. Probably the only topic I didn't cover in good detail would be scent control. You know, I had 4 videos on scent control, but they're not even remotely close to what I have in documents that I send to hunters that request a scent control regimen. So if that's of interest to you, email me, and my email address is on my website. My website is deer-john.net, and my email's on that. So just email me and just request scent control regimen, and I'll send you the 12 documents, and they cover everything in far greater detail than the videos did. It covers aiders, it covers everything to use in conjunction with properly cared for ScentLok. So again, email me that. I send out about 1,000 of those a year, and I've got a bazillion testimonials on people that are not paying attention to wind anymore. I've got a lot of them, tons and tons. I post a few on Facebook now and then when they send me pictures, but I've got a lot of emails from just people that are not paying attention to wind and then seeing a lot more deer and getting a lot more kill opportunities. So, but if you have any topics you'd like me to touch on that I haven't already touched on, and there's a lot of stuff back in the early, like the first couple Eberhart Outdoors YouTube videos, through probably number 30 or 40. There's a lot of topics in there because I get emails from guys that say, hey, would you cover this? And I've already got it. They just haven't looked through them. So, check those out and reply with any topics that you'd like me to do a video on, and try to make it a topic that would fit a more national audience instead of just your personal hunting criteria. And next is concerning my Eberhart Whitetail Workshops that are in March and April. The March shop is full, so if anybody is still interested, there are openings in both of the April workshops. So check those out. Those are also on my website as far as sign-up information and what the workshops, the 2-day workshops, are about. So again, there are still openings in the April 6th and 7th workshop and the April 20th and 21st workshops. And probably the main reason for this video is deer and deer hunting in the February issue of 2024, which is just now hitting the shelves and will be on the shelves for probably a couple of months. They had a guy, Darren Warner, who has been a freelance writer for probably 10 or more years and has interviewed lots and lots of bow hunters for articles. They had him do an article on me, just me specifically. And I was very flattered by that because I think this is the first time in a lot of years that deer hunting has actually did an individual deer hunter profile. And they actually put me on the cover, which I had no clue they were going to do. There's the actual cover right there. And then they did something that is extremely controversial. It's a 6-page article, and across the front 2 pages of the article, they wrote in big, bold print, large font, "Is he the best bow hunter in America?" I had no clue my picture would be on the cover, and I definitely had no clue that they would print something like that in a magazine, because that's a very controversial subject, and to me there's no such thing as a best bow hunter. That's an impossible thing to do. You could no way in no manner pick a best bow hunter, and I'm going to tell you why. To begin, I'm going to read this because I wrote something that I've been sending to people, because I've gotten quite a few emails, a lot of people, hey, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. But there's been a couple, not many, I think 3, where they've said, really? You know, and obviously I have a lot of people that don't believe in scent control, or whatever the reason may be. They think I'm just arrogant, that just don't like me. So, you know, and I understand that. Everything's controversial, and, you know, if you're going to do anything and do it correctly, you're going to piss off some people. That's just part of the game. So, and I'm not afraid to do that, because I'm very confident in what I do in my regiments for hunting. But anyway, again, I was very surprised at the magazine to have me on the cover, and I was actually shocked to read that, is he the best bow hunter in America, in bold and large print across the first 2 pages of the article. But again, Darren has interviewed a lot of hunters over the years, and he told me personally, he said, of all the hunters I've interviewed, you are far and away the most detail-oriented hunter that I've ever spoken to. You know, and you can tell, or he could tell, that I hunted heavily pressured animals because of the detail I had to use to kill those animals. A lot of the hunters he interviews are hunting managed properties, where they don't have to be detail-oriented, and they can be very slack in their skill sets to kill mature bucks. So anyway, he decided to put that across there, and Dan Schmidt, the editor of the magazine, had no issue with it. Dan said, I've been wanting to do that for about 5 years, because I've known Dan for a while, because I've been writing for deer hunting for a while. The simple answer to, is there a best bow hunter, is no. And I'm going to give you my plethora of reasons to why that could never be. There are so many differing terrain features across America, such as big timber hill country, small rural agricultural parcels, southern dense swamps like in Louisiana and Florida and Georgia, western prairie and open country, northern big timber, northern swamps like Michigan's got, we have tons of swamps, cattails and marsh swamps, and we have tons of big timber when you get up north of the center of the Lower Peninsula and the UP. But there's just so many different swamps and marshes, and then you got live private parcels where there's little competition, etc. And each of those differing terrain features requires differing disciplines and differing skill sets to be consistently successful at taking bucks in those types of, mature bucks at least, in those types of terrain features. It is also a fact that there are vast differences in the numbers of hunters in given areas, as well as the types of hunting pressure they pose to the local deer herd. Differing amounts and types of hunting pressure has a direct influence on how many mature bucks are in the area, how those mature bucks react to human intrusions as a threat to their existence, their daytime movement habits, the types of security cover they require for daytime movements, when and where they may revisit signposts during daylight hours, the amount of human odor they will accept before spooking. All you gotta do is watch TV for that. How dense of cover they will be in, when and how they socially interact with other deer, their reactions to hunter tactics such as calls, decoys, mock scrapes, sparring and rattling sequences, drags, scent drags, and commercial scents. And buck survival rates beyond the age of 1.5 years old during deer season. There's been places in Michigan, for instance, and I'm sure in lots of other highly pressured states, where 80% of the bucks that get killed during deer season are 1.5 year old bucks. So in lightly hunted states, you know, that's typically not the case, because people tend to target a little bit older bucks because there's a lot more of them and there's not a lot of competition. It also affects and influences how smart the mature does are, and to what extent all mature deer scan the trees for hunters and how they react when they see hunters in a tree. Again, all you gotta do is watch TV where a mature buck will look up at a person in a tree, you know, while they're on camera, probably even with other hunters in the tree with them, and they'll stare at them for 5 or 10 seconds, and then they'll offer them a shot by lowering their head and moving on, or eating corn in the weeds that they have out in front of them. So, you know, everything has an effect on what spooks deer in certain areas, and nothing affects it more than hunting pressure and the amount and type of hunting pressure. There are also thousands of phenomenal bow hunters across the country that hunt heavily pressured areas where most of their competitive hunters are targeting any legal antlered buck. Yet they consistently take the best bucks their areas have to offer, and the sad part is they do not get recognized for it. There's thousands of those bow hunters across the country in many, many states. They have honed their specific terrain skill sets against heavy competition, yet unfortunately, they will never be known outside their circle of friends or other local hunters. To me, if it were possible to be such a thing as a best hunter, the consistently successful bow hunters at taking mature bucks in heavily pressured areas are the only bow hunters that should even be considered in the conversation. As without other hunter competition, there is absolutely no way to measure any hunter's skill set. Again, that's very obvious by watching TV. Anyone that hunts micromanaged for big bucks properties, which includes well over 90% of TV personalities that are killing big bucks on a regular basis, a high percentage of YouTube personalities, and you can probably guess which of your local hunters are hunting micromanaged properties by the bucks they kill and the properties they hunt. Those guys should never qualify for the discussion, as they feed and grow their bucks in the exact same manner as cattle farmers feed and grow their cattle. Just as cattle are fed nutritious foods and are allowed to grow until they are ready for the retail meat market, at which time they are sold and slaughtered, on managed for big bucks properties, whitetail bucks are also fed nutritious foods and are allowed to grow to maturity without hunter consequences, and are then killed for their viewing media market, which of course they get paid for as well. The TV personalities get paid for that, or the YouTube personalities, or for the local area's bragging rights. Make no mistake, the mature bucks in those areas do not act anything even remotely like that of similar age bucks in heavily pressured areas that have been targeted by hunters since sporting their first set of antlers, or as button bucks by hunters with doe permits. Yes, they may be phenomenal at raising and growing large-bodied and magnum antlered bucks, but wherever there is no or minimal competition and bucks are allowed to grow to maturity before being targeted, in my opinion, at least 50% of the bow hunters across the country could take the same bucks if allowed to hunt them. It's just amazing how these guys kill these monster bucks time after time on these micromanaged properties, and they think they're exceptional hunters. That's not the case. While they may have a high skill set for raising big bucks, they do not have any proven hunting skill set by killing the bucks they raised. So no matter how many monster bucks they may have on their walls, they should never be considered in what would have to be a heavily competitive hunting environment conversation as far as a best hunter. Just as in sports where you can only measure an athlete's skill set against his competition while they are all performing on the exact same playing fields, you can't measure a hunter's skill set in an area with minimal to zero hunting competition on the properties they hunt. Physical fitness also plays an integral role in being able to compete against many other hunters on the same properties, as the more fit a hunter is, the more he is able to do things and go places than less fit hunters can. I can't think of any bow hunter that has been consistently successful on large tracts of heavily hunted lands that wasn't in excellent physical condition. It is also my opinion that any hunter that doesn't have an excellent scent control regimen that allows them to disregard wind direction without fear of getting winded could never be in the conversation either. A deer's nose is without question their main defense, and when that defense can be overcome and ignored, many more sightings, many more close encounters, and many more kill opportunities will happen. Hypothetically, if two hunters had equal woodsmanship hunting skill sets and one of them had a scent control regimen that worked, he could hunt when, where, and how he wanted without fear of getting winded or having a plethora of other scent-oriented issues happen. And he would have a much higher success rate percentage if hunting on the same property for a period of time. Having a scent control regimen that works is a huge game changer, and for confirmation of that, from 1965 through 1996, while hunting according to the wind, I was paying 100% attention to wind direction on every single hunt. During those 33 years, I took 10 book bucks. From 1997 through 2023, while having a complete scent control ScentLok activated carbon regimen that works and allowed me to disregard wind direction, I've taken 45 book bucks. That is a stat that can't be refuted. 33 years, 10 book bucks prior to having a scent control regimen, 26 years using a proper scent control regimen, taking 45. 45 versus 10 in a less period of time. That can't be refuted. Concerning myself, I can't hunt now as I used to as little as 6 years ago, as age has taken a toll on my body, my joints, my strength, poundage of bow I can shoot, and how well I can shoot. However, because I work out and do stay active, I still believe I can easily keep up with, outwork, and outthink what mature bucks might do better than most bow hunters of any age group. That's my own personal feeling. I feel that way, and I'm not going to back down from that. I felt that way for a lot of years. However, there are a lot of phenomenal young bow hunters, and I've definitely met several of them in the last couple of years with similar work ethics, scent regiments, and thought presses. And due to their younger age and lack of physical issues, they have a hunting advantage over me. And I love seeing it because, like me, bow hunting has been and will continue to be their lifelong passion. In conclusion, in sports, there can be a legitimate icon and a feasible GOAT, greatest of all time, because their stats are better. When I say theirs, I'm talking about the icons or the potential GOAT. Their stats are better than all of the hundreds of thousands of competitors they have competed against on the exact same golf courses, football fields, basketball courts, swimming pools, baseball diamonds, or whatever the sport is played on. And when I say hundreds of thousands, you know, that's kind of like a pyramid to reach that icon status in a sport. They personally might not have competed against hundreds of thousands, but the guys that they are better than at the time they reach that icon status, they have all of those other competitors that they have beaten and have better stats than once they're in the professionals. They have competed against thousands each. So when you add all those other thousands up from all of those other competitors that they're playing with in the pros, and you put them all together, you know, and he's on the top of the pyramid, you know, obviously he's competed against, without actually doing it, hundreds of thousands and sometimes if millions of other competitors, and he's got better stats than all of the guys that beat all of those other competitors. In whitetail hunting, however, there is and never will be a GOAT or best bow hunter, because the playing fields or hunting properties in this case, and the competition or lack thereof it, as well as differing terrain features and skill sets required for each, are simply far and too different to have a GOAT or a best hunter. Those are my opinions, and I feel very strongly about those. And you know, there is a GOAT in bow hunting, and that would be Fred Bear. You know, Fred Bear is from Michigan, and he's kind of the guy that brought bow hunting to the forefront. He made bows. He's the guy that started Michigan having bow license sales, and he is the solid GOAT, and there will never be anybody that's even remotely close to him as far as the GOAT. And for a lot of you young guys that may not have heard of Fred Bear, you may want to research him. But as far as just a bow hunter and what he's done for the activity, I can't call killing animals a sport. You know, I don't consider bow hunting or deer hunting or killing any animals as a sport. You know, Fred Bear, for the activity of bow hunting, he began it, and he is the father of it, and that cannot be denied ever. If you notice, I'm wearing this ScentLok suit here, and this is an old Vertigo pattern, and I'm kind of wearing it because I would like to see them come back out with this. This pattern was out for about 3 years, and the hunters that knew what advantage that they would have with this type of an open pattern bought it, and then sales kind of tapered off. So it ran its course to the knowledgeable hunters that knew how good an open pattern, you know, when the foliage was down and you have a sky background in a tree, how well an open pattern works. I mean, like today, you know, I can remember I was bow hunting once in a Vertigo suit, and I had a button buck go by me. It was on a morning hunt. I'll never forget it. It was quite a few years ago. And the button buck was hobbling. He was wounded. And I didn't know it was wounded that day. But about half hour after it went by me, and this was in a heavily pressured area, and this was obviously in December because the trees were covered with snow. I saw two bow hunters kind of following where he came from, and when they got about 30 yards from me, I yelled at him from the tree. It was later by this time, and so my hunt was over anyway. And the guy looked up in the tree and he couldn't see me, and I wasn't moving, and he said, "Who is it? Hello?" And I yelled back down, and he looked up again, and he still didn't see me. Finally, I moved, and he saw me. And instead of asking me about the button buck, because they thought it was a doe. Again, you know, hunters in pressured areas, they shoot does, and button bucks take the hit for that if they can't tell the difference. But anyway, he didn't ask me about the deer. First thing he said was, "What kind of pattern is that? I couldn't even see you in that tree until you moved." So, you know, this type of a pattern is awesome when you're hunting in this type of stuff. Well, maybe not quite to this extent. It's a beautiful day here. We just had a heavy snow last night, and it's absolutely gorgeous. But anyway, I'm going to try and see if they would make this pattern again in maybe a late season suit. So keep your eye out for that. I don't know if they'll do it, but it's worth a shot. Other than that, that's about it, and thank you for watching. I know this might make a lot more people think I'm arrogant, which I don't think I am. I'm just factual and try to tell the truth. But anyway, again, have a great 2024. Great luck next season, and for you guys that are still out there pounding it, hey, good luck. There's several states where seasons are open into February, so good luck. Thank you. If interested, the links to many of the podcasts I've been on, or for information about my 2-day whitetail workshops that take place in March and April, please visit my website at deer-john.net. Thank you for watching another episode of Eberhart Outdoors, and to receive notifications for future videos, please subscribe.